Passionist Father FIDELIS Rice had a dream more than 60 years ago to provide a televised Mass to people who were homebound, sick, or infirm. The professor of sacred eloquence or preaching was serving at the Passionist Monastery and Retreat House in West Springfield, recording his homilies on a simple reel-to-reel recorder to teach his students about preaching.
My friends, it is usually futile to speculate on how future historians will interpret the era in which we live.
Father FIDELIS Rice's recordings became a radio program, The Hour of the Crucified, later known as Crossroads. The program would spread in popularity throughout New England. Broadcasts eventually made it to Armed Forces Radio and were heard around the world. Around the same time, he began a partnership with the owner of WWLP TV 22, Roger Putnam. The two men would soon collaborate to launch a regular Sunday morning televised Mass. On September 8, 1957, then Springfield Bishop Christopher Weldon celebrated the first televised Mass on Chalice of Salvation. While the radio program was eventually discontinued, today Chalice is the longest-running non-news program in Springfield television. And veteran host Passionist brother Terrence Scanlon has been there literally from the beginning, serving as the first altar server for the television Mass that was broadcast from the original station on Proven Mountain in the Feeding Hills section of Agawam.
I was there. The very first Mass, what happened there is Father FIDELIS Rice needed servers. And at that time I was working at the retreat house for the men that would come on weekends. And also at that time there were 14 boys working in the rectory for serving on tables. So Father FIDELIS Rice came through, pulled 4 of us out, and 4 of us journeyed up to the hill. And the first Mass was telecast.
Longtime viewers may remember the early days of TV, filmed in black and white. The Mass was in Latin, and the celebrant had his back to the congregation. Brother Scanlon says he has fond memories of those days on the mountain when groups and families would come to be part of the television congregation. He said it took a core group of dedicated lay people to make the Mass a success each Sunday. Brother Scanlon says the longest-serving lay volunteer has been Marie Renaud.
Father FIDELIS again was ahead of his game because he couldn't get this going if he didn't have lay volunteers. And so Chapelaines were one of the largest family from East Hampton that worked with Father FIDELIS. And then Marie Renaud's husband, Albert Renaud, started, and he actually filmed the different groups that would come and worship with us on Sundays. He would make a record of that, and the families treasured that as a keepsake. And then his lovely wife, Marie Renaud, she's been with us since 1969.
Wow.
And she's a wonderful asset to our program here.
In the mid-1990s, the Diocese of Springfield constructed a new studio chapel and control room adjacent to St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield. The 60-seat Holy Spirit Chapel is now used as a setting for the weekly taped Mass, and the Diocese of Springfield was one of the first in the country to broadcast a weekly Mass, which has been appreciated by viewers throughout Western New England. Viewers like 95-year-old Richard Shevlin of Holyoke. The retired machinist and parishioner of Blessed Sacrament Parish there says watching the Mass is part of his Sunday morning routine.
I get up, and I get myself ready, and I have my breakfast, and then by that time, it's about 9 o'clock or 9:30, after I straighten out, then I come in and flip on the tube,
Shevlin says he appreciates being able to watch the Chalice every Sunday morning at 10, and he knows that other folks who are either homebound or in the hospital or nursing facilities feel the same way.
I think it's very important because I spent some time in a rehab. At the beginning of the year, I fell, and I was in a rehab for 6 weeks down on Cabot Street. And of course, when Sunday came around, and they advertise it, if you want to see the Mass on TV, go to the community room, And I went down there a few times. It was very important to older people.
When I visit those who are homebound, they speak to me of the presence of God coming to them through the chalice of salvation. For these 60 years, the chalice of salvation has provided great comfort, hope, and solace, especially for those who are unable to attend Mass physically in their parish churches.
Brother Scanlon says donations are what keeps the weekly Mass on the air.
Our major support is from the annual Catholic Appeal, and we are most appreciative of that funding program. Without it, we could not do this. But then during the year, we have our Mother's Day Remembrance, our Father's Day Remembrance, and All Souls, a Novena of Remembrance. And the people are very generous. And you can see what the program means by the support that comes in.
In all such speculations, we are really only guessing. And this is not even an educated guess. We will not be around to find out how accurate our guesses were, which we must freely accept, not on our terms, but on God's terms.
A simple mission begun 6 decades ago with a focus that remains the same today.
To get the liturgical presence of the Mass into the homes of the people, for the shut-ins, people that just simply can't get out anymore.
This connection goes far beyond wires and remote controls, impacting the hearts and lives of thousands of faithful throughout the 4 counties of Massachusetts. So much history in that story. It's amazing to look back and see how times have changed, but yet stayed the same as Chalice continues to serve the faithful homebound in our diocese. Congratulations to Brother Terrence Scanlon and all the Chalice staff behind the scenes who make this very important program possible each week.